Okay, we are starting on week 6, and this video will walk us through writing a mission statement. Okay.
I'm Patricia Amborn, and this week we'll take you through the process of developing your very own personal mission statement. And we'll talk about self-love and its role in your self-care plan. We'll wrap up the week by getting you started on rewriting your own story, which is a project that you'll be working on throughout this program. There's lots of information to cover, so get a pen or a pencil and grab your journal, and let's get started. And don't forget, you can pause these classes at any time, or revisit a prior class in case you want to review the material.
Many of us don't spend a lot of time thinking about our mission and our purpose in life. We're either too busy living our lives, or we've never created a mission statement for ourselves. When we don't understand our purpose in life, we can become frustrated about the life that we're living. Our experiences and the results that we're achieving can mean very little to us if we feel that they serve no important purpose. When we understand our mission in life, dreaming, planning, and achieving results becomes easier, and the journey we take from dreaming about our future to achieving our dreams holds more value. So, what is a mission statement? For a business, a mission statement basically represents what a company does and who they serve. Your personal mission statement can follow the same guidelines. What do you do? And who do you serve? If it's difficult for you to answer these two basic questions, you may need to take some time to think about your life and to reflect on what you value, and you can do this in several ways. One way to start thinking about what you value is to picture a perfect day, week, job, or life. Think about what's special about these experiences and consider what may be different in your ideal version from what you're already doing. If money seems to be an obstacle, you could imagine that you just won the lottery and that there are no obstacles to achieving your dreams. Would you do anything differently if you had total financial freedom? Sometimes we lose sight of what makes us special, and so you may want to ask your friends to describe you. Friends often look at us with a less critical or judgmental perspective, and they can help you to see your strengths and your passions. Another way to understand what you value is to imagine that you're on your deathbed. Is there anything that you would regret not doing? And finally, a good exercise is to write your own obituary. What kind of legacy would you like to leave? And what would you like people to be saying about you? All of these exercises will help to get you started thinking about what your passions are, what you value, and this will lead you to start thinking about your personal mission. A mission statement should represent your purpose and reflect who you are. As a reminder, it represents what you do and who you serve. It should be no more than a single sentence, and it should easily be understood and easily remembered. It should also be clear and inspirational. If your mission statement doesn't inspire you, you need to redesign it so it does. Two additional things to consider are that your mission is greater than your role, and your mission is greater than your job. This is important because if you define yourself as, for example, the best mother or father, when your children stop needing your attention, you'll feel lost and disappointed. If you define yourself as your job, if you lose it or if it stops being important to you, you'll be struggling to find your self-worth. Fulfilling your mission or purpose requires activity. It's hard to live a life of purpose if you are staying in one place. Activity is expressed in terms of action words or verbs. Here's a list of verbs that may help you to write your mission statement or that may help you come up with a few action words of your own. You may want to place this slide on pause so you can take some time to review these words and to select at least 5 of them that are appropriate for you. In your journal or notebook, write down the action words that have meaning for you. You'll use them later. After you've selected your action words, take some time to think about your passions, talents, and skills. One way to identify a passion or skill is that if something comes easily to you and time seems to fly by when you're doing it, that represents a passion or a natural talent. Write down some of your passions and talents. Now put everything together. Combine your passions, talents, and skills with some action words that excite you. Take some time to play around with different combinations until you can write a clear and inspiring sentence using all or some of the words. This one sentence should represent what you do and who you do it for. In other words, congratulations, you've just created your very own personal mission statement. You may not produce the perfect mission statement after your first try, but in time, you will develop one that is uniquely your own. And as you age, your personal mission statement will change. It's supposed to evolve just as you do. That's a natural part of maturing. Remember earlier in the program when we talked about focus as being a pursuit of what's most important? Having a personal mission statement allows you to understand just what you should be focusing your efforts and your resources on. Once you're comfortable with your mission statement, you can start considering your mission statement in all that you do. You can start making decisions based on your mission statement because it should influence your actions in all areas of your life. If you're considering an action or behavior that does not fit with how you feel about yourself and your mission, don't choose it. You are either living your mission statement or someone else's. It's your choice. Most of us would prefer living our own mission statements. We talked about personal mission statements first in order for you to understand some of your unique qualities and talents and to identify your passions. It's difficult to feel good about yourself and to love yourself if you don't understand your own value. Learning to love yourself and to practice self-love can be a difficult thing to do, but it's an essential part of a positive self-care plan. There are some things you can practice to develop a more kind and loving attitude toward yourself. The first thing you may want to try is to make a list of things that you like about yourself. Start small and simple with some basic things that you appreciate, like your smile, your hair, the color of your eyes, your attitude, your sense of humor. Then add to this list by thinking about your talents and skills. There are some things that only you can do, so compliment yourself for your special contributions to the world. Fill your journal with this information, or better yet, buy a special notebook to record all of your self-loving thoughts. You may even want to make some special cards that remind you of what's great about you. Look at your journal, your notebooks, your cards, anytime that you need to be reminded of your value. Your opinion is the one that matters most, so make sure that you remind yourself of your unique, special qualities. A popular exercise that will help you develop self-love is to look at your reflection in the mirror and to say to yourself that you love yourself. This is really uncomfortable and it's awkward to do at first, and you should practice this exercise in private. Do you remember in prior weeks when we discussed that our mind believes what we tell it? Repeating this exercise on a daily basis will help you start believing in yourself, and it's going to help you develop a sense of confidence in your abilities. Your mind will start believing that you love yourself. It's really that simple. You can also start treating yourself like you would treat a friend. We're often our own worst critic and our own most severe judge, so instead, why don't you try to become your biggest fan and be encouraging and supportive of yourself, just as you would a friend? Finally, remember to say good things to yourself. We'll discuss replacing negative self-talk with positive self-talk in a later class, but for now, it's important that you realize the value of being kind and compassionate towards yourself. And this starts with what you tell yourself. Just as it's better to live your personal mission than someone else's mission, you and only you are the author of your personal story. We all have a personal and unique story which is based on our past experiences, representing our successes and our failures, and our attitudes throughout both types of outcomes. For some of us, our story includes our dreams and the efforts we make toward achieving them. Our stories are influenced about how we feel about life in general and how we feel about our lives in particular. And although we all have our own stories, some of our stories are grounded too much in the past and are out of touch with our current situations and our future goals. For some of us, our stories don't represent who we really are or want to be. Just as your mission statement evolves as you do, so does your personal story. And regardless of whether you think your story is a comedy, a tragedy, a drama, mystery, or a story of faith, or a combination of all 5 types, Your story is written by you and only you. Although other people and events influence your story and play supporting roles, you alone are the author, the editor, and the lead character. You alone are the star. As humans, one of our special abilities is that we can make choices. It's one of our greatest gifts. We can choose to evolve or mature each day, striving to improve our lives and benefit from our own experiences. Or we can choose to remain as we are, trying to forget the experiences that are prompting us to change. When we define ourselves by one or two characteristics, by events or feelings, we can become stuck in that definition. For example, if we define ourselves by our weight, then our weight and all it represents becomes the main theme in our story. We let our weight dictate our attitudes and behaviors, and it becomes the central character in our story, no matter how accomplished we are in other areas. We tend to live out our story again and again, fearing change, and we start accepting our lives and our stories as though they were carved in stone. The truth is that our story doesn't end until we do, literally. So we always have opportunities to rewrite our stories and to make the changes we need in order to have a happier ending. Our habits help write our story because our habits help dictate how we spend our time. Ultimately, how we spend our time turns into how we spend our lives. How we spend our lives represents our story. Hopefully, you remember from week 1 that habits form tracks in our brains, and that forming a new habit is a process of laying down new tracks. We face resistance when we form a new habit because the old tracks feel more comfortable, safer. New habits take a lot of time and effort to build. About 30 days in a row of trying something new is required to form a new habit. In order to rewrite your story, you have to be aware of your habits and which habits need to be changed. In order to rewrite your story, you need to understand the story that you're currently telling yourself and others. Whenever you decide to make a life change, it's a good idea to go back to the beginning to understand where you are and how you got there before you decide where you want to go. Don't dwell on this too much, but please consider, are you letting a few moments of your life, or a number on a scale, summarize and represent your entire existence? Although we can keep a lot of information in our head, when making life changes, it's important to write down your thoughts, your progress, your results throughout your journey. We've talked about the importance of journaling throughout this program. Keeping a journal will help you to change your life story as you're living it. We all have life stories, whether we like them or not. The key is to create a life story that you love. Knowing your mission statement and believing that you can accomplish your mission through self-love is a great way to get thinking about rewriting your story. In future classes, we'll provide more factors for you to consider in rewriting your story, and we'll give you opportunities to update your stories as you learn how to apply some of this information in your lives. For now, we want you to be aware that your story, like your mission, should be very personal, and it should evolve as you do. This week, we talked about developing a personal mission statement, and we reminded you that each day, you're either living your own mission statement or someone else's. We hope that you're able to develop your own simple, clear, inspiring mission statement so that your time, energy, and resources are directed toward activities that are meaningful to you. We also provided you with some ways to get started practicing self-love, because self-love is an important aspect of any self-care plan. How can you take care of something that you don't value? We asked you to focus on your strengths and to remind yourself of things that you like about yourself. We'll cover some additional aspects of self-love in next week's discussion on self-esteem, but we hope we've provided you with some basics to get you started in being more loving to yourself and treating yourself like a friend. We wrapped up this class by introducing you to the concept of rewriting your personal life story. You are the author and the star of your personal story, so it's important that you are writing the story that you love. We will continue this discussion throughout the program. This week, we've asked you to keep track of your thoughts and progress in your journal because we know we've given you a lot to think about, and journaling helps you to understand how the information affects you personally and how you can apply the material to your daily life. Journaling also helps you to reflect how far you've come and provides a compass for where you're headed.
Well, that's it for this week. We really enjoyed sharing this information with you, and we hope you found it life-changing. We know that we covered a lot of material, so don't forget that you can revisit this class at any time. Next week, we'll begin our discussion on the mind by addressing self-esteem and assertiveness. We're looking forward to sharing this information with you. We hope that you start living your personal mission this week. It's your life. It should be lived with your mission in mind and with you as the star. Have a great week, everyone.
Oh, right. All right, so let's go back to the beginning of the slides. Have either of you ever written a mission statement or just something to live by about yourself?
I cannot recall doing a personal mission statement. I I have in terms of, like work, career goals, focus like that, but um, I don't recall doing one on a personal level.
Okay.
Same here. I've helped write mission statements for business
Mhm.
and companies
Okay.
that I work for.
Okay. Have you ever been able to describe yourself the way others see you?
I don't think so.
It asks you, ask your friends to describe your strengths and passions, and it's probably going to be different than um, what you would use. So here are some of the words that they were talking about. Some of the words that you can use to describe yourself, that you could use in your mission statement. Of course, this is not, the only words that you can use, but it kind of gives you a starting point of some verbs that you could use in your mission statement. I know that there's a lot of them. So it was saying, write down your action verbs and then maybe start with like 5 of them and then write down your passions and your talents. And again, get somebody to help you with that, because I kind of get stuck and I'm like, okay, I'm this and this, and where do I go from here? So ask other people to write things down about you. And, if you do this at your chapter, when we were in, at a coordinators meeting, we had, each of us took a plate and wrote our name on it. And then everybody walked around the table and wrote one thing about that person. And it's just amazing how other people see you, what kind of person you are. And that's a good idea to start writing your statement.
Now, that little activity you just described, something about that sounds familiar, like something similar was done, I'll say back in the day when I was working.
Yeah.
That seemed like an activity or something that was done in some training or something. But what you just described sounds like it would be a fun program, Joy.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that as a matter of fact, that sounds like something that would be good to start the new year off with,
Mhm.
and maybe even carrying it through with the what are we calling it? The statement, the mission statement,
Mission.
and maybe even journaling for the first 30 days in the new year. On that one slide, it said that it takes 30 days 30 consecutive days to form a habit. I've
Mhm.
heard that before, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I've also heard 21 days to form a habit, but this sounds like it could be a good chapter program, something to just kind of start the new year out, the first 30 days in a new year, you know.
And you could actually probably take these slides or this whole program and make a month or at least 2 to 3 weeks worth of programs out of it. And, by the end of the month, have them write their mission statement, just,
That's yeah, that sounds that sounds good. I called
and
Joy's name because Joy's going to be taking over as leader in 395 in next year.
yeah, she was just telling me about that.
Yeah,
And I can, the last week of the month, I can, send that into headquarters for that to be changed, or I can do it now, whichever.
yeah, we're going to update the form and send it to you in January when we send the resume. So
Okay,
you're going to have a form in there because we will also have a new co-leader. So
gotcha.
we'll redo the form and send it with the
Okay,
resume.
all right,
Okay.
sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. Um, but have y'all during these first 6 weeks or 5 weeks, have y'all been keeping a journal and kind of following along with what to write down and everything? Sometimes.
Well, as far as these, I've been taking notes, except when I missed a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
As far as my journal, my TOPS journal, I do okay for a while and then I get off track. So I haven't been as consistent as I want to be.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. And I never do it for 30 days straight. I do it for about a week, maybe two, and
Right.
then I just lay it aside and then I'll pick it up and it's like, oh wow, it's been that long. So maybe if we do it 30 days and make an appointment at a particular time of the day to sit down and write in it. Because a food journal I mean, it works for me to lose weight, but I'm not consistent at it again, there again.
Yeah.
But you can always sit down and write in a journal about your day.
Right.
Um, so, maybe after dinner or before dinner or something, just take a particular time of day that you know that you'll have to write in it. Maybe that'll work. And if we can get it 30 days, maybe it'll last for a while. Um, so, and I like the way it was saying that, your mission statement's gonna change as you get older. Because what we see ourselves doing or what we do when we're younger, we don't do or drop out or whatever, as we get older. So, that mission statement is going to continually changing and your story is going to change and, you know, go back to where you were. Um, let's see. Where did I write that down? Yeah, go back to the beginning to understand where you are and how you got there before you decide where you want to go. Because a lot of times, people will lose a lot of weight or get involved in tops for a long time, and then all of a sudden they drop out, they start gaining weight back, or they go back to old habits, things like that. But, if you get stuck, think about where you were. And it may not be weight loss, it may be the way you feel or your health wise. Are you healthier than you were when you started? So we need to, think about that, um, when we write our stories as well. Okay. Any other comments on this? Okay. All right, so next week agenda is going to be self-esteem and assertiveness. So, this will help us continue to write our story. Okay.